Hey, everybody.
Hey. I'm very excited about this one today because Nic Cage,
Okay.
horror, psycho killer.
Oh,
I mean, this is like the perfect movie to me.
I wonder if he can do a sort of a crazy person.
He's kind of low key, so it might
Yeah.
be a pretty passive, sweet performance.
Could be. I mean, that might be the typical Nicolas Cage, low key, nice guy performance.
Exactly. And the thing about having Nic Cage in your movies is that you kind of count on him not only to act and inhabit a character, but also to bring his unique Nic Cageness to it, because that's what you really want to see. Like what I'm hoping from this trailer is that we get to see some really cool Nicolas Cage moments, because if it doesn't have those, if he's low, and ironically, that movie he was in about himself that was Pedro Pascal, where he played himself. He was so passive and uninteresting in that movie. He was not Nic Cage. And I was so like, what? Why are you playing yourself and not being Nic Cage? It's very weird.
Maybe that really is himself.
Maybe it is. Maybe his acting is what really brings it on,
No, he's definitely one of those actors that like if it's a horror movie, you don't call it a horror movie or a science fiction movie or a new Marvel film. You call it a Nicolas Cage movie. You call it a Nic Cage movie,
That's true. So the other thing that has not only does it have Nic Cage, it's directed by Oz Perkins, who did The Black Coat's Daughter. Okay. He directed that, which is an absolutely fantastic horror film. Yeah. And he also did The Pretty Thing That Lives on the Wall, I think is what it's called. That was also really cool. It's very artful. He does like borderline art house films that are actually really fucking scary. So the idea of him putting Nic Cage in an Oz Perkins movie that's a horror movie and kind of crime procedurally kind of thing. Oh my God, this just checks every box for me.
Well, then shall we just go ahead and see the trailer?
See this trailer, I say.
Can't wait.
Are we ready? Wait to see this. We're ready. Okay.
Kind of Zodiac vibe.
Yeah. Oh, that's so eerie. Goosebumps. Whoa. You can hear?
Well, yeah. I mean, to do a trailer for a Nicolas Cage movie and not even show Nicolas Cage in it.
I know, right? Well, there were a few scenes with him. You could see him from the back. He was a silhouette. He was at a distance. Right. And I love the creepy, you knew it's him at the end, the creepy kind of crying sound. Oh, my God. It's insane.
It's got a bit of a David Fincher Zodiac 7 vibe to it. Like there's some kind of a cult thing going on with the killings. There's that whole the problem solving of codes. It looks like the Zodiac Killer Code and sort of CSI vibe to like solving, like drawing the lines, and then that's how you solve the code. This is how you read it, and it's all supernatural occult type symbolism. That's some like a crazy killer who is into religion and stuff. Like with 7, it was the 7 deadly sins. This one had 9 gates of hell on the book.
It's true. I think too, it's like it has all those things, but it also brings in, I felt a little who directed Infinity Pool? David Cronenberg's son. Brandon Cronenberg. There were a few shots that were super art, like the bubbly, weird, fluid, the kind of upside down, kind of turning camera with the action happening like inverted. and just this kind of analog feeling, like no digital effects. This very creepy, low end vibe. Just this sort of creepy burn through. I just love that. Now I'm dying to see it.
Yeah,
I'm dying to see what Nic Cage looks like in this. We saw a brief glimpse of him in the car screaming. That was her starting the scream, and then they cut to him screaming. So you got a little quick profile, and then there was a shot of him from the back, like he was in front of a big window, and he's kind of backlit, and he was painting something. He has this long hair, and then that him upside down, inverted, like it looked like he's in a little workshop or something.
Yeah, okay.
And it looked like it's probably him in the woods. I'm assuming these are all him. We only saw silhouette mostly. Him in the woods as the figure, and then she looks. What I loved is that scene of her looking back, and there's someone in her fucking house. And it's him. And so you see him like in the window, kind of walking around in her house. Can you imagine? Yeah. I mean, it's those little tiny scary moments that Oz Perkins does so well. He just brings this sort of grotesque horror into these really low key moments. I mean, my God. And even just
simple stuff, the simple stuff works so well sometimes. Good.
And think about that opening scene. They showed past the cop, who was actually let's take a mention of the actors as we go into this. So that was the main character in this. The detective is played by Maika Monroe, who was in It Follows, and then Alicia Witt is also in this. I don't think we saw her in this though. And Nicolas Cage. So 3 great actors.
Yeah.
So there's the scene of where we see that that old fashioned looking car, the old what are those?
Like a station wagon out there.
You see that old fashioned station wagon, and it's just sitting there, and you can tell there's like 2 people in it just looking. And then you see the little girl who looks like she's alone, like looking out her window, like, and you're just like, oh my God, what is going to happen?
It's like a 70s country squire. I guess it's kind of like similar to when, in older serial killer films, it was always a van, the serial killer van. And this kind of idea, it's like who drives a car like that now, It's
who drives a car like that now? And like it still does the job of a van. You still have all that extra room in the back, but it doesn't look quite as scary. So you almost think, is that an old family car? Like, to kind of set you in, kind of maybe disarming you a little bit. So I have a few posters I think that'll kind of liven this up a little bit, because what they did is it looks like they took scenes from the movie and just put the title treatment on it. So we get to see some little quick glimpses of what's going to happen. So
sometimes that can work. Yeah.
Yeah. So I like it because it has that same kind of analog look. Like the type doesn't look overly designed.
The type is weirdly spaced too. It's like the kerning, or is that kerning distance between letters? The kerning is funky in it, and it gives you kind of an uneasy feeling.
Yeah, it's kind of chaotic. And
the super brightness of the orange, it almost flexes when you look at it.
Almost hurts my eyes.
Yeah.
So we're seeing that little girl standing in front of her house. So at some point she's going out there. And this thing's rated R, so it's going to be hardcore. So I love that.
So it gives a vibe of isolation. It feels like that house is all alone, and she's all alone. And, there's wood,
again,
the dark woods behind.
And it's winter, so everything's kind of skeletal. And I love the white sky, the white house, the white snow. Like, it's so beautiful. Like, this is so awkward.
The Cronenberg thing is he shot his movies in Canada, where it looked like that all the time.
Always
and
cloudy.
Everything is cold and icy and gray in a Cronenberg film. And that's something that really gave Cronenberg's films that vibe. And I think David Fincher too has kind of a little bit of that grim, desaturated look in his things. Yeah. And it looks like this one might have that feel.
Yeah. So
also, then Silence of the Lambs a little bit. Jonathan Demme kind of put that icy, definitely not Los Angeles,
Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right, then we have this poster. So it looks like a nun with blood all over her. It looks like she's leaning in a car. Or maybe, I'm sure it's chocolate syrup. Probably what it is. Yeah. Considering what this movie's about, it's probably chocolate.
She was making cocoa and it kind of spilled on her. Yeah.
It's interesting. So I don't know what's happening there. I like that they're just kind of like out of context. They're just so weird. So the woman is cutting herself, but it also looks kind of, rapturous. It's like she looks like she's kind of enjoying it in a weird, creepy way. I'm not sure if we recognize that actress. But again, we have the outside. We have that white sky and the creepy kind of winter-looking forest,
and a lot of air on the top of the design, which is kind of cool.
Yeah,
on all
lower
of these.
third. Love it. And also, it's like she's wearing kind of an old-fashioned bra. This might be back in time or something. And the frilly kind of windows. It looks like an old farmhouse or something.
Right.
And then we have. Oh, this looks bad. Okay, we have. Looks like near a water heater. Looks like there's a whole family dead under a sheet. And it looks like a little kid too. Oh, you can see the evidence marker. So it looks like a crime scene photo.
Oh yeah, 52. Okay.
Yeah. Again, it's interesting. They put the type right across the grouping, and all you really need to see is the legs. That makes it really disturbing. The title's in the same place everywhere. I like the framing of this. It's really cool.
And there's generally more going on the bottom half.
Yeah. Yep. And even the top half of this looks so desolate and sad and like industrial with all the weird wires and everything. And I like they didn't clean it up. Like these look like they're straight up shots. It's really kind of cool.
Yeah, like.
And this is kind of low res. But this looks like Nic Cage possibly. But I like that, this has a different title treatment. It looks like it was an early poster. And so we have different title treatment. It looks like, but it still has that same palette of that kind of warm interior, which is kind of interesting.
This might be like an earlier iteration of the promotion.
It does. But again, it looked like they decided to follow through with that, scenes from the movie. So we have the trailer, and then we have actually a lot of information in the posters, the teaser posters. Great. This looks like a must see for me. I mean, it's Nic Cage, which I always try and seek out, and then Osgood Perkins. Definitely excited, and the fact that it's a procedural horror film is like, oh my god, this is just like made for me.
Yeah, it's got that stuff. It kind of has that feel. There was something I remember when Jonathan Harris was writing his books, and I wish he would continue to write, but he wrote Silence of the Lambs and Hannibal, and I remember the feeling I got when I read Silence of the Lambs, and I think that book and the feel of that, and Manhunter, that really triggered the whole forensic profiler thing. And the idea of a genuinely deranged in a kind of almost cinematic way that kind of introduced that vibe into films, I think. And Silence of the Lambs, I think, is sort of the founder of films like this. And then of course, there was Seven and all these other films, but this one seems to be in that genre, in that feel, that vibe, that dark, like you were saying, the ice cold, and it's not LA. It's not like, you don't see it's not a typical kind of like Halloween type film where you see people happy and they are walking along and that they're victims. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like you may not know the relationship between the victim and the killer and all those kind of things. It may be more complicated than just, killers.
And it's like what I like is something like this too. It delves into a psychology aspect of murderers, and this one especially is like a complete. I mean, it looks like he's writing in code. It looks like the murders are kind of pretty over the top, and we haven't even seen what he looks like, which must be pretty interesting because they're not showing him. So I can imagine what he looks like. This is. I think this is a really savvy marketing campaign because they're really making you want to see more, and so that's what else do you want? But people want to see more.
Yeah.
There you go.
Interesting.
All right. Yeah.
It's called Longlegs.
Yeah. What the hell does Longlegs mean? I have no idea. It sounds like a spider. I don't know. It is weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's that. So
yeah.
Well, let us know what you think in the comments. Are you a Nic Cage fan? What's your favorite Nic Cage movie? What do you think is happening in this movie? Tell us what you think.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Bye, everybody.